He was an absolute beast of a basketball player in college at the Citadel, and he has brought that energy here to the beach. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Big Mike. He is Mike Grossell.
All right, guys, so I'm going to go through the next 4 to 8 weeks of volleyball programming here, from working out, lifting, and what we should be eating, and the eatings for everything, okay? All right, so think of this in a 4 to 8 week block. Every 4 to 8 weeks, we're gonna deload the lifting specifically to where we're gonna completely drop the weight off, and we're still gonna lift, but we're gonna be just more recovering that week. Your studies show that your muscles are still gaining at that time, and it's good for the body to kind of go back down to below some of those weights you've been working with, and then kind of work it back up. What this would look like on a weekly basis in terms of volume is we're gonna get on the court 2 days a week. We're gonna have 2 off days per week, 2 plyo days, which we're gonna mix in with the volleyball while we're already there at the sand, and then 3 lifts a week. Something to note about the lifts is we are trying to get better. We're just trying to get stronger right now. And so when we're thinking about these volleyball sessions, we're thinking like the total time is 90 minutes per week, 90 minutes per session, and 180 per week. So we're coming in really intentional about okay, we're gonna work on these couple set pieces. We're gonna go, do your activation warm up. You're gonna do some plyos for 15 minutes. So right here, plyos, this is 15 minutes. We're not trying to smoke ourselves out. And then we're doing 90 minutes of work, depending on what your kind of thing is you're working on, whether you're passing, sucks, or setting. All right, and so how does this look like in a week? I think everyone can agree that Sunday is everyone's favorite rest day to take off, given just family endeavors. When we look at Saturday, we throw a lift in there because during the off season, it's really hard to get guys on the weekend, just in general, because they're planning family stuff. I know a lot of us are 8 to 5ers, so people like to go before or after practice. And then we start off the week, we go lift. We do a day of volleyball, we lift, we take off here, and then we do another day of volleyball. Some other things to think about as you get into a couple weeks, you get into week 3, week 4 of this programming, is you're gonna wanna set up some scrimmages on this Friday here, maybe every other week or so, to kind of evaluate how you think your game's moving, and recording some live sessions. It could be every 3rd week even instead of every other week, but it just helps kind of put into perspective what you're doing for these sessions here.
So I asked why these wouldn't be flipped hypothetically if he wants a volleyball right after the off day or not.
Okay, so, or why that's not lifting and that one's volleyball? Flipping these as well, or just moving it here?
Yeah, or the off becomes here and volleyball's here.
So, let's talk about this. So this is gonna be a heavy lifting day here, right here. And then this is gonna be a volleyball day, which is gonna be hard. I'm not gonna say heavy, but it's gonna feel kind of hard. Mm-hmm. This is gonna be more of a medium lifting day. What we're trying to do is just send another muscle growing signal. And 3 days in a row of this style, this is gonna be really taxing, and this is taxing, and we need to kind of come down so we go easier off, so that we're fresh, so we can hit it hard for another 2 days. And because this is gonna be a heavy day too. Okay. And I'll show you the programming exactly with those, is these days and these days are gonna make your central nervous system feel pretty crushed, because they're gonna tax you, over time, maybe not at first, because you're gonna start off progressively overloading. But that's why, and then you come in fresh for the scrimmage, your CNS here, that's what I'm saying, your CNS is not, it's getting crushed right here. And so when it's down, this is not a good day to scrimmage. Because I can tell you your muscles aren't gonna be working right. This is a day to always have the focus skills. Does that answer it?
Yeah.
All right, so what lifts to do? A lot of things to note here. I kind of wrote this backwards, so I'll start from the bottom. So the most important thing are the compound movements. So those are things that require two joints. So think pressing, pulling, like pull-ups, like it's your shoulder and your elbow and all your back. Think deadlifts, squats, lunges, like those basic movements. Think, and then in terms of power production, you'd think about like an actual clean, a snatch, stuff like that. Like those are the top priority, and then you've got your secondary movements, like where you're going to work a specific part. Like, okay, we want to grow our calves more, so we're going to do some calf raises, or like tibs. Like you got knee pain, we're going to work on our tibs, stuff like that. We're going to program those and more. And then lastly, 60 minutes tops in the gym, in and out. Like you're warmed up, in, out. Like once you get all the movements down and understand it, it's not a cardio session. It's not a cardio session. We're trying to get stronger. We're not trying to gas ourselves out on the assault bike or trying to go for as many reps as possible, Skylar. So general rule of thumb at this part where we're going for more muscle atrophy and growing than necessarily trying to put in more volleyball. So at the end of these, where we switch and we go to 2 days of lifting, when we switch to 2 days of lifting and we go to 3 days of volleyball, that's when it will start, we're starting to get more into that. This will change because right now we're at the top end, which is 12 sets per week per body part. So an example would be on Monday, we're going to squat. On Wednesday, we're going to do lunges. And on Fridays, we're going to do a heavy hex bar deadlift, which is very quad dominant too. And we're going to do 4 sets of each of those. So four sets total. So I'm going to do 4 sets of 5 on the box squat. I'm going to do 4 sets of 5 on my lunges. And I'm going to do 4 sets of 5 on the hex bar deadlift. And then that's how we're going to structure these compound movements. And when we think about pressing, we're going to do some sort of bench press. I like to use dumbbells because since we're playing volleyball, we do not need to be like the best bench pressers, but it would be way better to have like more range of motion and mobility with a dumbbell because of hitting and stuff. Like there's actually more benefits from back here. And then lastly, we're going to progressively overload every week. So there's 2 ways to do that. You can either go from 5 to 6 reps at the same weight, or you can up the weight, like you go 5 pounds up. So your options are like if you squatted 225 this week for 5, next week you go 230 for 5. And that's the first way of jumping it. And if you start plateauing at 230 for 5, you go 230 for 6. And then we want to stay in this 5 to 10 range right now. And there's no reason once we start getting over that and really closer to 20, you can go up to 20 for muscle atrophy if you're like a bodybuilder, but we don't really need that for our sport. We're trying to develop a vertical jump and like single impulse movements. All right, I'm gonna go to the computer and share my screen and just show you kind of the program I've built, and I'd love to give your feedback. All right, so kind of just showing this is this is just a schedule layout. This doesn't have dates or anything. So like we talked about, off lift, V-ball, lift, off. I'm just messing with that. I kind of track my progress there. All right, so here I did last week, and I've made some modifications since. There's a couple different things. So Monday are box squats, RDLs with the dumbbells right now, and I'm working the weight up. I may switch this to a barbell, it's a single leg. So I'll put SL for single leg. Dumbbell RDL where like one foot's in front of the other. And then this is going to be almost like a superset here while you go through these, and your box squats are going to be at the beginning. So you'll warm up with something like some core activations, like assault bike for a few minutes, like something just to get the blood flowing. You're going to do like an empty barbell squat. You'll load up like, once you get stronger, you'll do like 135, so plates, and then you'll kind of work your sets from there. And then we've got the dumbbell bench press. So here's what I did this week. Dumbbell row. So just getting on the bench with one arm and rowing, and just working that back muscle. And then the dumbbell rotators, I like to do it on the bench where I don't even know if you can see this, but where you're sitting on the bench with your knee propped up, you've got the dumbbell and you're working it literally like that. And so you'll see a pretty consistent, we work some upper and back. We work some back and we work some triceps and we move on. So you could potentially pair, and this might, the dumbbell rotators could be paired with the RDLs, and then you could do the bench and row, kind of like you bench and then flip over and do the row. Something I meant to note is between the box squat reps, I know Skylar's gonna have a hard time with this, but we're looking to do, ideally when it really starts getting heavy, closer to 180 seconds, 3 minutes of a rest. But right now, while you can see my weight's pretty low on these squats, just 145 to 175, you could do 90 seconds. But really focusing on the rest. Week 2, these are a Bulgarian lunge or Bulgarian split squat. So that's the one where you've got your rear foot elevated on the bench. You've got a bar on your back. We'll use a safety bar so that we can hold the rack for more stability, but you could do it with a straight bar as well. And then we're going to there's 2 supersets after that. Same thing with the rest. You go left side, right side, rest for that 90 seconds in the first weeks. And then once you start into week 5 through 8, start spreading it out. So these are the next 2 supersets. So I'm doing a single leg back extension. So that's where you get in the back extension machine, you put one leg in there and you kick one leg off. I only got up to 6 reps this week. Now, the goal is to add weight to it. But if you can't do the single leg yet, that's fine. What you can do is you can add a plate, go double leg, and hold a 30-pound plate or a dumbbell or something and increase your weight over time. Because this is going to be our back exercise for the day. It's not going to be so these lunges and this back exercise are not as intense as doing an RDL or a deadlift. And so that's kind of why we're talking about deloading, and then we're going to do stuff we're going to do some calf raises, some tib raises, and I hadn't made this correction yet. We're going to do these just for each. And same with the dips. We're going to do 3 sets of dips on this day. So the last day of the week is on that Saturday. It's the heavy day. And the first movement after your warm-up is going to be a trap bar deadlift. And you could do a straight bar deadlift. And since we're taller, the reason I've got the Rogue trap bar that's higher up so we don't have to bend over as far to get it. If you use a straight bar, you can elevate it with some bumper plates at your gym. So same thing, 90 seconds rest the first weeks, and then we're going to go into more 3 minutes of rest as we progress. Then you're going to see power cleans. We're going to do a superset of power cleans, calf raises, tib raises. Then we're going to take that same 3 minutes rest. Once we get through all that, we're just going to rest because we want to hit these cleans. 3 reps on the cleans. Boom, hit it, drop it. Set, get a good set and pull every time. Straight bar. And then lastly, we're going to do a push press, which is a straight bar. You're going to load it, and then you're going to kind of load your hip up a little bit, and you're going to essentially hip thrust up and press all at the same time, one movement. And then pull-ups, I put max. What I mean is 1 rep left, or you're not going to get the next rep. So for me, right now, I'm doing 3 to 4 pull-ups 4 times. And that's it. I think ideally getting closer to 5 or 6 would be the goal. And then on your off days, I know Skylar on Sundays does a ton of yard work, so he doesn't really need this, but on a Thursday, if you don't got much going on, go take these 15 minutes. You can do this once or twice and go through some exercises like this, or you can come up with your own that activate your back, your muscles, your muscles, your legs and stuff like that. So for this, I've got step ups, body weight, You get some J curls. You could take like a lightweight and like work on curling your back into flexion and bringing it back up. Lateral lunges, so lunging side to side body weight, which really is a challenging movement. Hip flexor stretch, also known as the couch stretch, where you put your foot up on the wall or on a couch and you stretch your hips out. Piriformis stretch, which is where you're going to like take your foot, you're going to bend it inward and you're going to kind of like work on the outside of your glute. And then you could work on like some isometrics for your calves. And you could do that like once or twice for like 15 minutes on those off days. You could also, other really good things to consider, going on a couple walks and stuff like that. I have one more thing to go over. It was the nutrition, which we didn't talk about at the beginning. And just something to consider that will really help make or break this programming is getting enough protein in. So if you're trying to get to a certain body weight, so let's say I'm trying to get to, and I'll type it in here and not jack this up. I'm trying to get to 220 pounds. Well, the ideal range for protein intake is 0.7 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So if I'm trying to get to 220, and that's my goal, that's where we're going to start all this off. So I'm going to take 220 and I'm going to multiply it by 0.7. And I'm going to take the 220 and I'm going to multiply it by the 1.2. So what I tend to favor is leaning onto the higher side. So for me, I'm going to do 250 grams of protein because I stay way fuller and it's way easier for me to be losing weight at that set point. It just it naturally happens, or I'm really testing this right now. I would accomplish this by doing a couple things. If you're just curious where I'm doing that, I'm trying to eat 2 pounds of meat per day. So things, chicken, lean ground beef, ground turkey. Those are some good ones. You can make stuff: turkey burgers, chicken Alfredo, tacos, chili, turkey chili. Lean ground beef. You can make hamburgers. I pair it with some sort of carb at all my meals. So I have like chips, rice, bread, all that. I'm not restrictive in that manner, but I'm telling you, if you eat this number of protein, this closer to this 1.2, you actually track just the protein, you will be full. So like, if I was, I didn't quite tag this right. If I was, I'm just going to do an example here. Ryan, what's your target playing weight? 215?
Yeah,
215. So Ryan's is 215. And for him, you could do like it says 258's the top. Like you would not eat more than that. So you could do like 220 and you're gonna be fine. Like you could just eat your way. You could just do it at one, keep it simple. Other things, yogurt. I do that Fairlife chocolate milk, which is pretty cracked. Not the one from Costco, the protein one, because there's like some jacked up stuff in it apparently. And that's it.
I was gonna ask, is there any core work to be worked in?
So the farmer's carries are core work, for sure. Farmer's carries are an exclusive core exercise, and that's about it. I do strongly believe that you're going to generate core stability through good lifting techniques, the power cleans for sure. Like these heavy box squats and stuff are making you require like a very set core where you're isometrically contracting the whole time. And so we're testing to see if we just develop these main movers, if the core will go with it. Okay. That's the thought. Cool. All right.